last summer. He says that his roommate told him to ask me out, but I don't know if that's actually true. That's what he says.
So she knew my roommate pretty well, and he wanted me to ask her out 2 years ago, and I kind of was a little bit of a chicken.
He lived in the apartment below me, and I would see him around at church and different activities, and we kind of just slowly met through that way. So our first date was one of a kind. We'll just say it that way.
We were originally supposed to go with another group to Bear Lake to just go get shakes and hang out a little bit, but it started raining right as I picked her up, and then we still decided to go, but when we got over there we decided to just do our own thing. We got shakes, and then there's this little kind of pull out that overlooks Bear Lake, and we just sat there and talked forever.
And on our way back, we were driving, just talking, and then all of a sudden I hear this huge bump in our car, and he screamed so loud. He just shrieked, and I looked at him because I did not expect that to come out of his mouth. And I look up and I see this deer twirling in the air, and we had totally hit a deer. And he kept driving, so our car is smoking, it's crashed in the front.
I thought we could keep driving it. I thought it was fine even though it was smoking, but then this couple kind of stopped us.
And they picked us up and drove us out of the canyon.
Yeah, I totaled my car on our first date. I was known as the deer guy for the first couple months of our relationship to everybody.
So the first kiss is quite the story.
On our third date, we decided to go hammocking and, share the same hammock.
I hadn't really gone hammocking a ton, and we got in it was so awkward. I don't know what happened in us getting in, but it was so uncomfortable. But I was too nice to really be oh, you can't really adjust yourself once you're in the hammock, you're stuck.
One of my favorite movies is Hitch, and we decided to watch Hitch. And there's the classic, he says, you kiss him on the third date is kind of the thing. I kept wanting to kiss her throughout the movie, and I was like, no, just enjoy it. And it was kind of awkward because the hammock, we didn't sit in it quite right, and so we were kind of squished in there. And
finally, at the very end, he went in for the kiss, and we kissed, and it was good. But it was kind of awkward because we were stuck in the hammock, and so I was like, well, hopefully that gets better. So the proposal, I was confident that I would know when he had the ring. We had picked out the band together, but he was picking out the diamond by himself and all of that.
We went out to dinner, and she had no idea I had the ring, but she kept saying, "You're acting so weird tonight."
And he kind of was getting nervous. I was like, "Why are you being so weird again?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "Let's just go for a drive." So we went up through the canyon on a little drive, and it was really pretty. It was in March. And he just magically managed to go to this place that had an overlook of all of Logan. And I was like, wow, really impressed he knew where it was. He's like, yeah, here we are. And he had told me beforehand that he had a present for my birthday. So he's like, I'll give you a present over here. There's a bench. So we go and we sit down, and I had asked him for Christmas to make kind of a book of different memories we had. And he had decided to do something else. And so he pulls out this book of just all these different memories we had and these pictures. So we sit down on the bench and we started reading the book and looking at all the pictures. And I remember thinking as we're reading it, wow, this is so impressive. He set the bar so high. I don't know what he's gonna do when he actually proposes. How he's gonna do better than this. But I was like, there's no way, because I would know if he had the ring.
At the end of the book, after all the memories and after all the pictures, it just had, "Will you marry me?" But I kind of got too excited, and so when she started getting close to it, I kind of took the book and asked her to get up so that I could actually propose to her on my knee. And then I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me, and for the next 5 minutes she said, well, of course she said yes, but then she just said, "We're getting married. McKay, we're getting married." And it went on for 5-10 minutes.
And I was so surprised, and he asked me there. And it was just the two of us, but it was so tender and so sweet and just so perfect. So one of my favorite memories I have with McKay was actually kind of towards the beginning of when we were dating. So in Preston they have a rodeo, and they start planning it a year out. And I remember the second date, I think, he asked me to go to this rodeo, and I was like, wow, it's a month away, but sure. And his family kind of does a whole big thing, and so I went up on Friday night and they had done a fire, and I remember just how perfect it was. I feel like there's just those times in life where it just, like you're stealing time kind of, and it was just so perfect to be with him and his family and just have this perfect summer night, I guess you could say. And I remember just falling so much more for him that night and just thinking, I don't know if I want this to end.
There's one memory. We were up in Island Park for just a weekend, and I remember we went up early and we were waiting for the rest of her family to get there, and we were just kind of sitting there. She was feeling kind of sick and whatnot, but we were just kind of sitting there by the heater and just talking. And for some reason, I don't know what it is about that moment, but it is always going to be one of my absolute favorite. I loved it, and there's no actual explanation for why I love it so much, but it's just at the forefront of my mind that it's one of my favorite memories.
I feel like I dragged my feet a lot of the time, and McKay was so patient and so loving and so kind all the time. And I remember I brought my journal because no one would believe that I said this, and I actually forgot about it, but I have an entry from September 2017, so we had just barely been dating a little bit, and I just wanted to read like a little part of it. So I'm talking about McKay, and I just say, McKay is so good, and I can see myself so clearly with him in 10, 20, 70 years from now. I can see the man he will be as a husband and father, a man who personifies the attributes of Jesus Christ. If I'm being honest, I think I'm going to marry McKay, which is absolutely crazy to even think about, and is crazy if I'm thinking logically. But deep down, I know it's true. Just no matter how scary and unlogical some decisions may be in life, I believe there are times, perhaps only a few, where heaven intervenes and points you to where you need to go. I believe this is one of those times. McKay is filled with so much good, and having him in my life would fill it with joy, light, and goodness. Hard times will come to us, but I know we would be okay because we would have one another. And then I finish, I know marriage is a long, long ways away, and we'll see what happens, but I do know that it is in the future. And I think even from the very beginning, even though I pushed it away because I think it scared me, I could see how much good McKay had in his heart.
There's no one that you'll meet that is more accepting or willing to do literally anything for anybody.
He is probably one of the best people I absolutely know. He's so kind and sweet, and I could see even, a year ago that he was someone that I'd want to marry, and that having him in my life would bring so much happiness. And that's something that I love about him, is he's just good. He just has a good heart.
If she sees someone that needs just a little bit of help, she'll give them the entire day. She'll give them anything and everything, just because that's the type of person that she is. She gets more out of giving somebody everything than just giving them a little bit. If they ask for $10, she's going to give them $100. I love that. She's just very accepting and wants to serve and help anybody that comes into her life.